Hi, dear students. Today's lesson is about cellular respiration. Our body is made up of trillions of cells. They all require energy to function. This energy is created within ourselves in the mitochondria. Here, food is converted into chemical energy called ATP. ATP is released by mitochondria, so cells can use it. Mitochondria consist of two membranes, an outer membrane separating it from the cytosol and inner membrane surrounding the matrix. The area between these membranes is called the intermembrane space. ATP is generated at the inner membrane of mitochondria by an efficient mechanism called oxidative phosphorylation or electron transport chain. As we can see here, the chemical equation of cellular respiration, which is the mirror image of photosynthesis. What does that mean? The reactants of cell respiration are the products of photosynthesis, and the product of cell respiration are the reactants of photosynthesis. So if we look at the reactants, we'll find we have a glucose and oxygen, and the products are carbon dioxide and water. And the target from cell respiration is to produce energy. Let's look at the diagram. We all know that cell respiration made up of 4 stages. The first one, the glycolysis, that occurs in cytoplasm, moving to mitochondria, starting by preparatory reactions or stage, or we can call it transition stage. Then moving to the matrix to do the Krebs cycle. After that, go to Prestay, where electron transport chain happens and chemoosmosis. Also, you have to know that cellular respiration has 2 main parts. The glycolysis, which is anaerobic process. What does that mean? Do not require oxygen. And anaerobic respiration includes a Krebs cycle and electron transport chain. That means it requires oxygen. Let's start talking about the glycolysis, which is the first step of cellular respiration that occurs in the cytoplasm. It breaks down one molecule of glucose, as you see here, the 6-carbon sugar, into 2 molecules of pyruvate, the 3-compound carbon molecule, as you can see here. During this process, a small amount of energy is released. Why? Because it's anaerobic, no oxygen, producing a net gain of 2 ATP. If you look at it, you will find that we consume 2 ATP at the beginning and we release 4 ATP, but the net only 2 ATP, 4 minus 2. Not only that, we released 2 NADH. So the products of glycolysis, 2 ATPs, 2 NADH, the electron carrier molecules, and 2 pyruvates, the 3-carbon molecules. So glycolysis does not require oxygen, so it can occur in both aerobic and anaerobic conditions, serving as a vital energy source for all cells. And now let's enter the mitochondria to start our journey. Now, we will do it for 1 pyruvate. After glycolysis, we received 2 pyruvates, but here the Krebs cycle is for 1 pyruvate. Before entering the Krebs cycle that happens inside the matrix, the pyruvate, the 3-carbon molecule, in its journey to enter the Krebs cycle, we call this journey preparation stage or preparation reaction, or even link reaction, also the same. Okay, that will convert the pyruvate to acetyl-CoA. Acetyl-CoA, CoA is an enzyme, so it will not affect the chemical reaction. During this journey, it will release 1 carbon dioxide and 1 electron carrier molecule and ADH. All that only for how many pyruvate? Only for one pyruvate. So 3 carbon molecule release 1 carbon in a form of carbon dioxide will give me 2 carbon molecule, which is acetal. Now this acetyl CoA will join the Krebs cycle where it combines with a 4 carbon molecule here. This 4 carbon molecule, we call it oxaloacetate, to form the 6 carbon molecule citric acid. 2 from acetyl, 4 carbon molecule here, 2 plus 4 will give me 6 carbon molecule, which is citric acid. Now the 6 carbon molecule will be changed to 5 carbon by releasing another carbon dioxide and 1 electron carrier molecule and ADH. Again, the 5 carbon molecules will turn to 4 carbon. Simply, it will release another carbon dioxide, but during this journey, 2 NADH will be released, 1 FADH2, also 1 ATP. Again, FADH2 is an electron carrier molecule. So all that happens for only one pyruvate. So for one pyruvate, we in a Krebs cycle, we release 2 CO2, 2 NADH, 3 NADH, and 1 FADH2 and 1 ATP. So if we want to calculate it for 2 pyruvates, we will times by 2. As we finish from the Krebs cycle that happens in the mitochondrial matrix, we'll move to the next step, which is having the electron transport chain in the inner mitochondrial membrane, the folded one that we call the cristae. Now, whatever we received from glycolysis, preparatory reaction, and the Krebs cycle from NADH and FADH2, I mean electron carrier molecules, it will be released here in the electron transport chain. These molecules will be changed to ATP. Every NADH will give me 3 ATP. Every FADH2 will give me 2 ATP. Now, these two molecules will release electrons along the mitochondrial membrane and it will move from one protein to another. Now, during that, the hydrogen ion are pumped, as you see, from inside to outside, as you see here, from inside to the intermembrane space through the proteins in the inner mitochondrial membrane. Now, that will create they create the gradient of hydrogen ion. I mean the different concentration. So it will increase the concentration of hydrogen ion outside. As a result of high concentration in the intermembrane space and the low concentration in the mitochondrial matrix, the hydrogen ion diffused down their concentration gradient back across the inner mitochondrial membrane and the mitochondrial matrix through ATP synthase, as you see, this enzyme that will make ATP. In another term, this process we call chemiosmosis. As the hydrogen ion moves through the ATP synthase, ADP will convert it to ATP. Now, oxygen, as you see here, is the final electron acceptor in the electron transport system in the cellular respiration. The hydrogen ion, as you see here also, and electrons are transferred to the oxygen in order to make water. So again, the oxygen here is the last electron acceptor. Overall, electron transport produces between 32 ATP to 34. 32 to 34. In total, for all cellular respiration, the maximum shouldn't exceed 38 ATP. And now we will talk about the anaerobic respiration, the second type of cellular respiration. The first one was happening inside the mitochondria with the presence of oxygen. That's why we call it aerobic respiration. And here we call it anaerobic respiration, or it has another name, which is fermentation. We have two types. The first one, lactic acid fermentation. The second one, alcohol fermentation. Now, both of them again happens without oxygen. Now, regarding the lactic acid fermentation, enzymes convert the pyruvate made during glycolysis to lactic acid. This involves the transfer of high energy and electrons and protons from NADH. An example of that in skeletal muscles. In skeletal muscles, they are produced lactic acid when the body cannot supply enough oxygen, such as during hard exercises. When lactic acid concentration in muscle cells increases, the muscle becomes fatigued and sore because of accumulation of lactic acid. Let's move to the second type of anaerobic respiration or fermentation, which we call it alcohol fermentation. This occurs in yeast and some bacteria. These chemical reactions occurs during alcohol fermentation when pyruvate that comes from the glycolysis is converted to ethyl alcohol and carbon dioxide. As you see here, we are releasing carbon dioxide. Similar to lactic acid fermentation, NADH donates electrons during this reaction and NAD plus regenerated. So here also without oxygen, but the alcohol fermentation happens in yeast and bacteria, and here an example happening in the muscles. And now to compare between photosynthesis and cellular respiration, once we are looking at these two processes, we will understand that they are the opposite but complementary at the same time. Why? Photosynthesis occurs in the plant chloroplast and uses sunlight, as you can see here, carbon dioxide and water to produce glucose and oxygen. Okay? Now, cellular respiration happens in the mitochondria of both the plants and animals, breaking down the glucose with oxygen to release energy in the form of ATP, along with the carbon dioxide and water as byproducts. In short, photosynthesis stores energy from the sunlight in glucose, while cellular respiration releases that stored energy for cellular use. That's it. Thanks for watching.